Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Parra, editor in chief of Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to our Wellness Wednesday. This is our three-part segment with an amazing woman. This is in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Let me go ahead and just bring her on in. If y'all have not seen part one and part two, go back and watch the replays. But let's go ahead and get this party started. Hello, beautiful Lavon.
Hello, beautiful Tiffany.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to have you here. Excuse the noise, a little bit of background noise, everybody. I am out and about today, but I will mute myself as needed because there may be a couple sirens or little things, and I don't want to interrupt Miss Lavon here today. So we are here to again talk about domestic violence awareness with Lavon. Lavon is an international speaker, author, and a survivor of domestic violence. So go ahead and please, Lavon, those who have not had a chance to meet you yet, please tell them who you are, where you're from, and just give them a little bit of your story because we're about to dig on in.
All righty. All right, Tiffany, here we go. First, again, as always, Tiffany, thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this platform and always to talk about something that's passionate and close to my heart on domestic violence, suicide, sexual assault, all those things, right, that impact our lives, our families, our communities, and even economically, right? So I'm always on it to have the opportunity to be in space and to share not just my story, but to share the ways in which domestic violence impacts our lives and what we can do as a people, as a society, to help bring some decrease to this insidious issue. So for me, everyone, I am Lavon Morris-Grant. I am out of Atlanta, Georgia, where I've been living for the last 20 years. I am from New Jersey and New York. If you can't hear the accent, there it is. And I have risen to become an international speaker, a published author of 3 great books, which we'll talk a little bit about that later. And I have gone around the world, traveling, speaking, sharing, training different folk, judges, lawyers, law enforcement on the ways in which we need as a society to change policy, to change laws, to bring safety guards for women and men who are being abused, and also to our children, right? Because it impacts them. We think it does not, but they will one day grow up to be adults. And as far as what happened to me and how I came into this space over 3 decades ago, if you listen to the first 2 videos, particularly the first one, you'll get more detail. But just to give you a quick synopsis of what happened to me, I was shot 4 times by my husband of 10 years, and we have 3 children who are grown now. But at that time, they were 7, 14, and 4. And they witnessed the shooting of their mom by their dad. And the first bullet, when he shot me in my head. And that bullet is still there today. It passed from one side of my head to the other side. And medically, as you all are probably wondering, medically, yes, I should be dead. But through the grace of God, and God had much more for me. And I'm still here. And I pray that from that time to today, I've lived up to that purpose that God has left me here to do. And a lot of that that you need to understand, with this. Yes, I've been doing it for a long time, but you have to I had to make myself very vulnerable in sharing me with you all and allowing you all your curiosities to ask me the questions, whatever that may be. And I put it in a book to help make it a little easier. And I still have a bullet in my foot, which broke in half. So it's in 2 places in my foot. And they did surgery on the bullet that went into my buttocks, that went into my stomach. And so they found that bullet and they did a big surgery, 34 stitches later. And then one in my thigh, it came out 3 weeks later on its own. So that's just a quick synopsis. And as far as my husband, I know people say, what happened to the husband? Unfortunately, and it is unfortunate because, he was a father. He committed suicide. He shot himself once in the right temple, and he died 2 days later. And so I prepared the funeral, did the whole shame, all the things, and from there did a lot of therapy for about 10 years because the emotional impact, what people don't understand, physically I'm good, but emotionally that was a huge undertaking. And then I got these three other people, right, little people,
Right.
totally mentally, emotionally dependent upon me to help their lives move forward. And so the last thing I'll say about that, as you take this away, is the emotional toll that it took on me was every day I wanted to commit suicide. Every day I was figuring out ways to commit suicide. So though I sit here looking at this with you all today and I'm smiling, and this is real. This is not a mask. The makeup maybe, but 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 as far as my smile, I do have joy. I experience joy. I've done a lot of healing, but it took a lot to get here. And as we close out Domestic Violence Awareness Month in these last 2 days, just please remember domestic violence don't end because the month has ended. And we'll get more into that. So thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Lavon. Just such a powerful story. Such a powerful story. And just to see you, on the other side of this, going on stages, writing books. You just shared that you had to set up a funeral. You had to organize a funeral
Oh, yeah.
while you were going through a healing journey yourself. And that was just the beginning of that huge healing journey. So that is just absolutely amazing. And for people that are watching and, watching now and watching the replay, understand that whatever you're going through, you have that courage within you to be able to just thrive and be able to get through this. So just know that, just have that faith and just know that. And I want to talk about, some of the different types of domestic violence because, like you said, as we're closing this month has really been about the awareness of, but domestic violence is, it's here, it's every day. It could be every minute of the day. Someone somewhere in the world is going through something, whether it be a physical thing or an emotional thing, someone tearing them down, telling them that they are nothing and making them feel less than anything, and that's huge. And also talking a little bit about what that leads to as well, because you hit it a little bit in where you were sharing your story, that suicide thing.
Yes.
When people are going through this type of stress and trauma over and over again, those are the thoughts that come up. I can even say myself in my own journey of having someone, early on really, tear me down. I did think about that at times, and even as a teenager, sometimes seeing my parents go through some of the things that they were going through, I would have those thoughts.
Right.
So I really do want to talk a little bit about, that, as well as, again, those types, and just kind of what we can do when we're as a society, we tend to be like this.
Yep.
Everybody is in their own bubble. And I get that at times, but I think right now, in the climate that we're in right now, we really need to take the blinders off and really come together as a society and be able to, COVID really took out the closeness and just, people don't want to hug each other. They don't even want to be around each other a lot of times these days because of that. And we need to come back together and understand that we need each other. We need that person to come and put their hand on our shoulder and say, you know what, I see you and I hear you and I understand. Even if they don't understand completely, they at least understand that you are going through something, right?
Right.
So in your experience, let's talk about some of the different types of domestic violence that you have heard about, that you
Mhm.
have talked to. You've talked to a lot of different people, so let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes, Tiffany. Yes, that would be great. There are several signs or ways in which domestic violence shows up. And before I get into the different signs of it, I just want to point out that unfortunately, the physical abuse, which everyone is pretty much knows that one, right? Because a lot of with the physical, you can't escape it with a broken arm, a black eye, right? A push down the stairs, a punch here. That is the only form of abuse that is lawful. That is the only form of abuse that a person can file a criminal charge on. And so the problem with that is the physical, most times, is not the other forms that lead a woman to want to commit suicide, or a person to want to commit suicide, or for a person to experience PTSD, right? It's a whole lot of the other signs I'm going to give you that lead to her mental instability. Okay? So we know about the physical. Everybody knows about the physical. But you also have the verbal. And verbal abuse is not just about that person calling you a cuss word, right? The B word, the C word, right? And you could put your own mind to what those words lead to, and or what those words mean. Verbal abuse can be about him telling you no one's ever gonna want you. You're ugly. You're fat. I don't know why I married you. I don't know why I'm with you. You a horrible mom. You can't cook. On and on and on, right? And it just tears you down. It tears down the self-esteem. And what I also want to point out in that, we always talk about how women need to get better self-esteem. I'm not here to say whether that's true or not. I just know it's what's being said. But we never point out that man or men need to get their self-esteem together, right? We never bring the action of the perpetrator into the mix. It's always about the victim of what she needs to do better, or what she needs to do for herself, but it's never about what he needs to do way before he's in relationship. Because the other thing, when we talk about the signs, when a woman does leave, she leaves the abuser, she gets away, she's rebuilding her life, if that happens. But however she gets away, that man, that abuser, he has gone on to another woman and is doing it again, and he's gone to another woman and is doing it again. So he may have abused 10 women in his lifetime, right? So we got 10 women who are abused by one individual, but that one individual is never held accountable. Never. It's all about those 10 women. Well, what did you do, or what can you have done differently? But it's never about what has happened to him. So I want to put that out there. The other form of abuse, and people really overlook this one, is the financial capacity. There is a thing called financial abuse, and it shows up in different ways. It doesn't just show up in the physical form of money, right? Of him withholding the money, right? Which happens. Or now we don't even deal in a lot of physical money. We deal in like our debit cards, right? Our credit cards. And so speaking of the debit card or the credit card, he'll go and get a credit card in her name and run up the credit, right? And she don't even know the credit card is in her name, or even if she does know the credit card is in her name, he runs up the credit and doesn't pay on it. So who credit suffers? Her credit suffers, right? So now she doesn't have access to help her financially once if she does choose to leave, how to maintain her household, or how to get, groceries or utilities, or pay whatever she needs to pay, because her credit is shot now, right? So that's another form of domestic violence. The other form of domestic violence is the emotional and mental abuse. and that can fall under what we call gaslighting, right? And that can show up in ways of him playing tricks on her mind, thinking that she put the keys, remembering that she put the keys on the counter, right? And she's asking him, "Hey, do you see my keys? You see my keys?" Or whatever it is she's looking for. And he's like, "No, honey, no, no. You did it again. You must have put it somewhere." And a few hours later, she opens the freezer, and there's the keys in the freezer. Now she's second guessing, like, how did that get there? And he's egging it on, like, yeah, something must be going on with you, and you got a lot going on in your life, and she tends to believe it, right? Because she's not thinking he would do that. um but those are different things. And the other thing that happens a lot, particularly with gun owners, right? I don't have to shoot you, and I pray nobody ever gets shot, especially since I was there. He doesn't have to shoot you to intimidate you, right? All he has to do is sit at the kitchen table or wherever, and he's cleaning his gun. And what that is saying to you, the message that's coming is, you need to know I know how to use this. But he's smiling and he's just cleaning, and you see what he's doing. You see he knows how to use the gun. And that sends a big message of, you better not cross me. And that's another form of how he can maintain control of her, because domestic violence, that's exactly what it is. It's majority about power and control, right? Even sexual, through rape. It is not about sex. Everybody keeps, oh no, it's not about sex. It's about power and control over that individual, right? And so there are those forms. And then one of the biggest, it's not biggest meaning hidden, is spiritual abuse. And as Black people, where that's where we run to majority, right? I'm not going to say all. We use our churches, right? Even though I believe going to church and spiritual are two different things, but for the sake of this, we're going to talk about it in that format of spiritual abuse, using scripture against her. And the biggest one, oh my God, is Ephesians 5. Oh my goodness. And even the pastors use that against her to make her feel like she needs to stay with this man, and that he is the head. But they don't read the scripture above, and I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but where it says Jesus loved the church, and you are to love Jesus as Jesus loved the church, and treat her as such. Well, then underneath it says all the other things that they like to use as being the head and not the tail, and all of that kind of stuff. And there are other scriptures I could point to, but I'm not, in Romans, Ephesians, and Galatians, about how women are supposed to be submissive, to their husbands and all that kind of stuff. But the husband is not submissive to God or to Jesus in doing his role in protecting her. And so they use that spiritual power, that spiritual abuse, to goad her into feeling guilty about what's happening, and putting all the responsibility on her to figure out how to keep him stress free, opposed to turning it around to him, finding out what's going on for him, that he feels the need to physically abuse her, to mentally and verbally abuse her. And why does he have the need to have power and control over her? But we don't dig into that. We just dig into, well, she did this. She talked too much. She didn't let the Spirit guide her. She needs to call on the Holy Spirit more to guide her. Well, what does he need to call on? Right? And so I flip it. I flip it every time. People don't like it, but that's okay. I hold people accountable. And that's what we have to learn how to do. We can't just take things at face value without doing our own research or doing some kind of reading, and to gain some knowledge. So that's why awareness is so important, right? Even if you don't agree with me, go do your own research. Go do your own research that 41% of women are being physically and sexually abused, right? Go look it up. Like, I don't make up the stats. Go look up that Black women are not the largest group of women being abused, but they are the largest, highest group of women being killed,
Wow.
and they are being killed, unfortunately, by Black men. Go look it up, right? Go see. And then when you look up these stats, go ask yourself, what can I do?
Right.
What can I do to bring about a change, opposed to getting mad about it and thinking me or others are out here to attack Black men? That is not the situation. That is not the case. I absolutely love Black men, regardless of what my husband did. I have two Black grown sons. I fight for my community. I fight. I want Black men to treat themselves as kings and to treat me as the queen that I am, right? And within our communities, I want Black men to take their rightful places, but you can't take your rightful place if you're not healed, and you wreaking havoc around everything. But because you are a man, based on your genitals, does not give you the power to step into those roles. And that's what, as a society, we need to begin to understand and change that narrative. Just being a man don't give you, right, the right or the privileges that come along with that. Some things have to be earned and respected, and you have to work to move into those positions. So I'm gonna stop there, Tiffany. If you have any questions about that, or the audience may have some questions, I don't know.
Yeah, if the audience does have any questions, put your questions in the chat. We would love to answer any of the questions that you have. I also want to talk a little bit about, some of the things that we can look at. For example, for myself, being from a human resources background, there's things that we can do in our community, in workplaces, to be able to help with this situation. When you just said, instead of getting mad at the situation, ask yourself, how can you help? How can you take your blinders off and be able to, help stand up for some of these individuals that are going through some of these things? And standing up for them may even just be listening.
Yes, yes.
Listening to, just having that open door policy. I'm talking to you, HR and you bosses out there as well. Having that open door policy, letting someone come in and have that confidential conversation with you just to get it off their chest can sometimes be that thing that's going to help them to wake up and continue to live the next day. Right?
Yes.
So just getting it off your chest. But the things that you want to look at, if you have an employee that is all vibrant all the time, coming in, hi, good morning, hey, and all of a sudden that person's all withdrawn, they're agitated, you're now getting people complaining about this person when you've never had complaints before. You really want to address that situation. Don't sit there and just, what, that person's just going through what, life, the life be life. No, life doesn't be life. And sometimes you have to stop and really see what the situation is. What's that root cause of that person reacting differently? It's not just, again, a physical thing. And you can see bruises, things like that. It's looking at the behaviors, and also being able to foster, things in the office that help people want to be open about things. We talked about it in one of the other shows about having a confidential, box in the restrooms where you can put, things that are going on, whatever it is, that something that maybe you're going through, something that the office sees. Maybe it's an idea that you have because you saw it somewhere else, you heard it on TV or YouTube or wherever, and you think, hey, that might really, really help if we implement that in our office, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just open up your eyes and have the conversations, and even creating a group. I have a women's group that meets every Tuesday, and we talk about anything and everything under the sun. It doesn't matter. It's having safe spaces. So if you have it in your heart and in your mind to start a safe space, start a space where it's, just all you guys that have something common about you, right? And you want to, maybe it's a book club, whatever it is, but just create those safe spaces so you can come together and talk. And men as well, because guess what? When you get men together and y'all start talking, some of these seasoned men are gonna tell some of you youngsters what you're doing wrong and how you need to be, because there's things going wrong today, and I don't know where it broke in society. I don't know if it's video games. I don't know. I mean, the movies are disgusting these days. I can't even tell you. I don't watch a lot of stuff anymore. I stick to cartoons half the time because they make me happy. Because it's just there's something that just broke down. I mean, what do you think? What are your thoughts, Lavon? Because we got just a lot going on right now, and we got a lot of young people, a lot of young men that are just aggravated. They fighting each other. They fighting the girls. They fighting the sisters. They fight their mamas. It's like, what is going on?
Right. So, Tiffany, that's a really hard question, because it's not that it's loaded. It's just so many layers when I say loaded, because, when we focus on domestic violence, right, around power and control, all the nuances that you mentioned of what's going on, all that stuff or different kind of stuff always been going on, right? And it's just a matter of people who feel the need to have power and control. Things could be perfect, Tiffany. I promise you. For me, it's simple, right? Because things could be perfect. But when you begin to understand the analysis around misogyny, around sexism, racism, around homophobia, and all of those types of issues, right? The power and control piece makes a lot more sense, opposed to all the other stuff that's going on. That all those other things that are happening does not impact a person to the point that they do not know how to maintain power and control over themselves. So I'm going to give you a perfect example. At least I hope. What we talk about is a whole bunch of stuff going on, and these are some of the reasons why they may be acting out. And I'm not here to diminish that. I'm just going to give you an example. So, Tiffany, you are someone's boss, or you are several people's bosses. And this particular man, you have to fire him that day, right? He has to get fired. He knows he's getting a pink slip to finish out his work day if he chooses, or he could go home, whatever, but he's getting fired. You have fired him. He's angry as all get out. He is totally aggravated, upset. But Tiffany, he controls his anger, right? Now you fired him. The job fired him. He controls his anger throughout the whole day. Let's say around 5 o'clock, he makes his way home. The wife, girlfriend, partner is home. He's still angry, but remember, he's controlled it for hours. And all the stuff you mentioned, Tiffany, is going on, the craziness in the world, the stresses, all the things. He goes home, and now he lets loose. She say one thing. She may even say, "Hey, babe, how was your day?" And let's say she didn't have a smile on his face. Let's say that's the thing he picks to or pick at to say that's what made him angry. He jumps up and he starts beating on her, right? Don't matter. He starts beating on her. And now, later, we find out, okay, he lost his job. He just got fired, and he was stressed, right? We give all the excuses for why he did what he did to her. But nobody ever says, but he got fired at 9 o'clock, and it's 6 o'clock now. Why didn't he take his anger out on the people or the person that fired him? What was he able to do to maintain his control or maintain his anger, right? The reason, this is how power and control works. he could go home and beat his wife or beat his girlfriend to a pulp is because somewhere in his subconscious, as a society, we have shown abusers that nothing is really going to happen to you if you beat your intimate partner. But in society, you know, if he jumped on you, Tiffany, at work, you know that is assault. That is aggravated assault in the first, whatever is the highest degree. I don't know. They got one, two, three. I don't know which assault is the highest, the third degree or the first. But he knows that is a criminal case against him, right? But there's no criminal case against him by beating his wife when she caused nothing. So that's what I mean by when you understand the dynamics of power and control and how it plays out in the narrative that sits in my mind. I know I could get away with it over here, but I know I can't get away with it over there. Because if he had jumped on you at work, Tiffany, you all would have called the police and the police would have arrested him on the spot.
Right.
No questions asked. If a neighbor or she called the police and he's still there, they want to have a conversation about, hey man, you don't need to do this, da, 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 da. And they may tell him to go somewhere, or they may just take him somewhere for a few hours, but he's set to come back home to wreak havoc again. So you see that how that works, and we know this happens all the time, and we know as a society we do not take domestic violence serious. It's when she is killed that we like, oh yeah, what could, yeah. I remember sitting on a coalition board many years ago, and the young lady was scared to death. The judge, it was in New York City, the judge let him go because the judge asked him to promise him that he would not stalk the woman anymore. And of course, the man said he promised.
Mm-hmm.
And he was relegated to anger management classes, right? Domestic violence is not about anger management. But anyway, Tiffany, I promise you, when he left that courthouse, he found her. She was sitting in a restaurant with her mom, eating breakfast or lunch, whatever. And this is gruesome, guys. He went into that restaurant with a machete and chopped her head off.
Wow.
From leaving the courthouse, going to the restaurant. This is what I'm saying. Domestic violence is not something you can talk your way out of. It is getting to the root of understanding why a person has the need to have power and control over their intimate partner. Because that person, Tiffany, in that same scenario with being fired, he was able to maintain and control his anger for hours. So it is not an anger management issue, right? It's deeper than that. And I'm not saying you don't have to start with anger or talk about it. All I'm saying is we as a society have made men's behavior about anger, and it's not opposed to being about power and control. And that is so important. And we talk about the job, right? At a job situation. Do you know, Tiffany, that $3.6 trillion are lost every year around the unproductivity of women being abused?
Wow.
That's on the economy. That's economic. So if that's not enough reason, $3.6 trillion in the US with the burden of intimate partner violence, that employers have to be involved in changing the culture of how it shows the improductivity that is happening just with intimate partner violence. And so, yes, these numbers do make sense when you look at them and see what the amount of money that is being lost. If the bottom line is your only concern, okay, cool. And I'm telling you, $3.6 million a year is being lost in the US due to intimate partner violence.
That is wild. I mean, if that alone doesn't make people say, okay, let's figure out how we can fix this situation here. Let's figure out some programs. What is it? Because like you said, it's not just about anger management, but I think we need to have programs out there that really help people to be able to take that stress level from that 10 and bring it down to a 1 before they go into a situation. you know and I think that as I do my research and as I'm out here perusing around these streets, I am seeing that there's a lot more wellness stuff that's being created around this, because people do understand that people are snapping for, again, like you said, it's a control thing. It's something mental in there that needs to just click. So I know that there's stuff like EFT and TFT. I know there's different things out there, and people just need to start doing your research. Start doing your research with things out there that could really help you to tap in and figure out what is that root cause, what is the reason why you do the things that you do, if you want to change.
Right, right. And Tiffany, you had made a comment earlier about, our young people, right? And I just want to add to that real quickly about the numbers have gained so much traction in teen dating violence, and the number of suicides, suicide attempts,
Yeah.
suicides that happen among teens just through a broken relationship or a failed relationship of believing my life is over, right? And so before we even get to the suicide, right, when you look at teen dating violence, right, uh, young women react differently, or teenagers, I should react differently. Young women, teenagers act differently to domestic violence. So what we see, right, it could be both sides. It could be on both sides. And so what that tells me, what that tells us is what narrative have we passed down to our children in society, right? That it is okay to jump on someone, that it is okay to gang rape, someone. 33% of young people are victims of sexual, physical, and verbal and emotional abuse. 33%. And I know the largest group that are experiencing domestic violence, believe it or not, are from the age of 14 to 25. So
Wow.
that's your middle school to college.
Mm.
Because remember, well, no, whatever, when we all coming in, we get our boyfriends, our girlfriends, 14. Some of us have them all the way through, right? We go to school, we go to college, we go off to college. Some of us go to the same college, different things like that. But we all are coming together. That is the largest group. That's the largest population of young people being impacted by domestic violence. And to my knowledge, I have to go back and look on the college campuses and even in the middle schools. That is where the least amount of resources are. Isn't that
Wow.
something? The
That's
middle
so.
schools won't let you in to talk about it. They think if we talk about it, all of a sudden we're gonna make it happen. No, people, it's happening.
Right.
It's already happening. We want to come in and talk about it, to give advice, to offer resources, to give a safe space for young people. And at the college level, the young people are seen as adults, which by age they are, right? And so Title IX, which I hope they don't dismantle it, but Title IX, when that came out some years ago, it had to force, it was through an act of Congress that had to force the colleges to deal with domestic and sexual violence, or it would impact their monies, right? That was the only reason why Title IX became a huge protection for young women and men on college campuses of being safe and feeling safe. Can you imagine what it's like that you and your boys raped me and I got to sit in class with you every day?
Right.
I got to still go to those classes. or I got to see you around campus. And especially if you're an athlete, right? Because when
Right.
people have titles or they
Mm-hmm.
seen as the big man on campus,
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to blame him because he's helping us win our football games.
Right.
So they need you to go away and just stop talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you begin to think about it in those terms of the mental abuse she has to go through and just moving through her everyday life, and then when she becomes a full-blown adult, we
Mm-hmm.
wonder like what's wrong with her?
What's wrong with
Why Jessica, Jennifer don't smile,
it? Mm-hmm.
anymore. And so my role, my job has always been to train HR, to train employers, to train others, to put things in place before something huge
Right.
happens. Because at the end of the day, what I tell everyone, it's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It is.
here. And you want to make the environment as culturally safe for people to recognize that they could be comfortable
Right.
coming into your establishment, coming into your university or college, coming into your middle school, that not only do you not tolerate it,
Right.
but that you're going to believe me and you're going to support me. And you're at the very least, you're going to hold the abuser accountable. And that is what is not happening, Tiffany. We can talk about this till we blue in the face, but we do not hold the abuser accountable, especially if he or she is a high name, a big name in the community, on the campus, in the church, wherever they may be, the radio personality. We want that person to be that person we have imagined them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person has to be lying. So when we villainize the person, it makes it easier for us to justify why the abuser could still sit in that space.
Wow. Wow. See, we got to do better with that, because it don't matter who you are, it don't matter what title it is. It's still the same act. It still requires the same punishment regardless. So I'm just glad that you're out there fighting and really trying to help, companies and communities and schools to implement these things beforehand, because like you said, it's already happening. It's been happening for a long time. That's why you see such a shift in emotions. That's why you see such a shift in, I mean, the statistics of teens and young adults committing suicide is disgusting. It makes me so sick. Every day we're hearing about some young person taking their life.
Yep. Yes.
Why? Why?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
there should be more joy out there, and it's they're just I don't understand it. And again, we just need more. We need more places for them to go so they
Right.
can be heard.
Right. So can you imagine, Tiffany, like me telling you, you don't understand it, right? And I've been doing this for 30 years and or more, right? And the things I've seen and heard is it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier. So that's why, like for me, yes, I've been shot 4 times. Yes, my husband committed suicide. Yes, that was horrible. And I'm not downplaying it. I'm not minimizing any of that, right? Because I know the horrible emotions and times that I went through. But I'm just here to say I couldn't just sit back and be like, well, I'm okay. My kids doing better. They graduated from Morehouse, Savannah State, in the military. Like I got them through, but it's my purpose. It is my duty to be on point, to be out here and ask God for grace as I work through these issues with people, these challenges, to continue to be on stage or to be on a platform where I can use my voice to share and to bring the realities of what is really happening. This is not hidden in a corner somewhere. When a woman comes into work, if you in California, and she comes in with a turtleneck in 90-degree weather,
Something's wrong. Something's
If
wrong.
she comes in and wearing sunglasses in 30-degree weather, you have to begin to ask yourself, why is she dressed like that? Or constantly wearing long sleeves, right? Because a perpetrator knows most of the times he hit below the neck and on the arms.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then he'll choke her, unfortunately. So I'm just saying, believe me, they know exactly what they are doing most times. They are very strategic in where they place those blows, right? And the words that they say. And so children are listening to that. Children are watching that. And they're watching how we deal with it of not believing the victim. So we don't believe the adult. What makes you think children are going to think they will be believed if they tell us they're being abused sexually or any other kind of way? So I just wanted to leave us with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's again having those safe spaces, having the putting those boxes up, even having those boxes in schools where a student can write down what's going on, confidential, and report that, and be able to have someone connect with them to just figure out how they can get them to the other side. So now I know you have a few resources out there. You've shared your story, and you've got a few books out there. So share with the audience about the books that you have out there available for them as well.
Thank you, Tiffany. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, this is my first book, which will always be my baby. Whom Shall I Fear? A Spiritual Journey of a Battered Woman. This is my memoir, talking about the details of what happened to me, my husband, my family. Let's see. This is the second book. It's another memoir continuation. Those are my children on the cover, Marquise, Corey, and Sharia. And that's me at the bottom. They're all grown. Thank you, God. And that's me saying, go and live. I did my job. Y'all help each other. Y'all pull each other up through whatever turmoils y'all find. I mean, I'm always be mama, but make sure you stick together and help each other. This book is called Who Will Speak for My Children? Healing Through the Trauma. And my latest project, which came out 3 weeks ago or a month ago, is I tried my hand at fiction. I think I did a great job uh, connecting to a real life issue around mental health. And it's called When Silence Screams, Maya's Mental Health Story. And so please, you could go to my website at www.lavonmorrisgrant.com. That's www.lavonmorrisgrant.com. And please support a sister, right? I can use your support in every which way. You'll find other products on my website as well. But definitely, grab your copy or buy one for someone. It's the holiday season is upon us, whether we like it or not. It's here. It's the end of October. We're going to see all the commercials, all the things.
That's
And the
it.
last thing I would like to say to that, Tiffany, beyond me, because it is the holiday season and people are struggling given the shutdown and even before that, right? But definitely due to the shutdown, and SNAP benefits may or may not be given out, and we don't want people going hungry, which that's the bottom line of this result.
Right.
If this happens, if you all would just please contact your local domestic violence agency, or if you don't, you could Google it in your area, or you could contact your state domestic violence coalition and see about who you can connect to adopt a family, right? Adopt a family or a family or two. And it's not always about giving them the money. What I would really love for you to do is ask them to give you a family or tell you about a family, and you yourself work with that family if possible, opposed to giving the money directly to the organization. You can do that if that's what you choose, but I'm asking if you would find a family or two that you can adopt between for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And if you can't get toys or food, you can help them pay a utility bill. You can help them pay their rent. You could give them a gas card, $50 to $100, or you could give them a food card, right? So there are many ways to adopt a family and how you can be a part of the solutions that we really, really need. And many survivors who I've become where I'm thriving, and I want other survivors to thrive as well. And I promise you, your donation, your gifts will help that woman, that family thrive beyond where they are. And it will be so welcomed and appreciated of you doing your part. But you don't have to just do it one time. You could continue, on and on and on, to be a part of the solution, because we need help. People need help every day,
That's
all the
right.
time. So, however often you can show up to do that, but definitely, definitely for this holiday season, if you can do that for Lavon Morris-Grant, I would love and appreciate you for that. Thank you, Tiffany.
That's amazing. That's adopt a family, y'all, for the holiday. The family or two, and you know what? I think if someone connected with me, if I'm in that situation, if someone connects with me, just knowing that there's that angel, that earth angel out there that wants to support and love on me and my family, that's just amazing. So I'm definitely going to look into doing that. My husband and I. For sure during the holidays. So absolutely, you guys connect with Lavon and support this woman here. Grab her books as well. Use them as resources to just show that what, regardless of what life throws at you, you can rise above and you can thrive. You truly can. So if you or anyone out there that is experiencing any type of domestic violence, requires some help, I'm going to go ahead and put the domestic violence hotline at the bottom here, as well as the number. And then Lavon, do you have the one also for the for suicide? Because I know we were mentioning the suicide rates going up and stuff as well. So if you don't mind sharing the suicide hotline number, that would be amazing.
Yes, it's a very easy number. It's the Suicide Crisis Center. And if you are dealing with domestic violence and you call, they will direct you to other areas of help or resources for yourself. You could call 988. That's simple. It's 988. And they will help you work through whatever you need to work through and point you into directions for resources in your area, as well as help you while you're on the phone with them. So please utilize those resources to help you get to what you need to get your healing.
Thank you so much, Lavon. And thank you so much for joining me this month to really shed some awareness on domestic violence and, sharing your story. I mean, just again, a truly courageous story. Every time you share it, I get tears that I have to just fight from, coming, because I just cannot imagine. But you just showing up and shining the way you do, you inspire me, just to continue to share my own story to be able to help transform individuals out there. So please connect, everyone, connect with Lavon. If you have not seen part 1 and 2 of these segments, definitely go back and watch the replays. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments as well, and we will go ahead and answer any questions that you have. And definitely look out for Lavon in Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, because we have her as one of our featured businesses in the magazine, in our author's corner as well. And you'll see some more of her. So she'll be on our Mental Mondays as well as our Authors Network segments as well. So Lavon, thank you so much, beautiful, for joining me on this Wellness Wednesday to share your story. And we will see everyone next time. Take care, everybody.